Man, it's just there's a lot of loopholes in a lot of places systematically, but they're blaming the driver for everything.
That was the voice of Utah-headquartered one-truck owner-operator Jorge Rivera Lujan, speaking to what he sees as a fundamental flaw in the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration's September interim final rule that would, and has in some ways, severely restrict non-domiciled CDL issuance to a variety of classes of non-U.S. citizens. That includes asylum seekers in immigration limbo and many others. It cuts off access to a CDL to folks like him, too. He's a recipient of the protections offered by the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program since near the time it became policy in 2012, as you'll hear in today's edition of the Overdrive Radio podcast for February 2, 2026. I'm Todd Dills, your host as usual, and if owner-operator Jorge Rivera Lujan's name sounds familiar, that's because he was the named plaintiff in the title of the court challenge to FMCSA's non-domiciled rule, filed shortly after he and many other non-domiciled CDL holders realized that under the terms of the rule, they wouldn't be able to renew their licenses or get any other kind of CDL to continue their work. In any case, it was a direct threat to a business in operation now for more than a decade. His younger brother, a U.S. citizen born after Rivera Lujan, who's been in the U.S. since he was brought here at elementary school age by his parents, the owner-operator's younger brother is in trucking too, with a small fleet now that's a separate business.
My brother has 6 trucks.
Okay.
And I have one, but the reason I have it is because again my immigration status is right now DACA is okay. It's a hit and miss, man. It's supposed to be temporary, but I just haven't had that. I've been okay with the one truck.
The brothers collaborate on hauls in some cases for direct customers,
but we help each other out where we have similar customers. And we're both with the same customer, and if he can't take it, I'll take it, and it's just more of the business. So I own outright my equipment. Like I don't owe it, so I have the titles, and that's what I'm getting at. Like people just assume that by being non-domiciled that we're just taking cheap freight. Like if you're a businessman, you're a businessman no matter what your immigration status is, you know. So in my case, I just showed you, man. I do rental things on the side. I do a whole bunch of other stuff, and yeah, my business is, I'm an owner operator. I have one truck, and I have some direct customers, because who says that you have to use brokers all the time?
Indeed, and he does it all in the 2014 Peterbilt 386 you see in this week's podcast cover image, purchased in 2019, as he told it.
It's a Peterbilt 386 2014. They call them pavement sniffers.
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, kind of like the T, like the old Kenworth T600 model that I referenced there, which was known as the Anteater. I hadn't heard pavement sniffer before, truth be told, but seems apt.
The back part looks like the classic ones, and then the front is more of an aerodynamic. And
yes,
that truck I had it since 2019, and I bought a 2022 trailer back in COVID. Man, that trailer was $45,000, right? I had to pre-order it brand new, and then they called me because of the whole supply, the COVID. They're like, hey, we have to increase it to 48. I'm like, I've already been waiting for it for a year,
right?
And then, dude, I saw those things go on the auction for $75,000. I was just like, bro, I should have bought 2 of them, like, And then what do you have? You got these people that came and bought those $75,000 trailers, and now they're stuck with those high payments, and now they're over here saying, yeah, trucking is bad, trucking is horrible. Now, do we agree that trucking could be better? Yes, we are.
Jorge Rivera Lujan's in agreement with many around trucking that the English proficiency standards should be enforced, and feels that too many are painting the non-domiciled CDL holders in the country today with a brush that is just far too broad. Are there problems with many such CDL holders' licenses extending beyond their legal stay in the country? In various states, sure, as it's been demonstrated. Are there non-domiciled CDL holders who shouldn't be hauling over the road or however they're hauling because their English skills are insufficient to safe operation? Again, sure, as has been demonstrated. Yet those should not fundamentally be reasons to curtail all non-domiciled issuance, he feels. And too many people seem willing to just throw long-term U.S. residents like him, pay taxes, who built businesses over many, many years, to throw them under the bus. He has a lot to say generally about immigration, about his own ongoing path to citizenship, and the trucking markets writ large post-COVID, and where he feels regulators might best really focus their attention when it comes to credentialing, rather than dropping bombs on the bottom of the CDL issuance food chain, as the case may be. Again, as he put it earlier.
Man, it's just, there's a lot of loopholes in a lot of places systematically, but they're blaming the driver for everything.
Much more after the break.
Winter doesn't wait, and neither should you. Treat now with Howe's Diesel Treat to prevent your fuel from gelling, and keep using it at every fill-up this winter to make sure you're always running strong when the cold sets in. But if you waited too long to treat your fuel and get hit with a winter emergency, Howe's Diesel Lifeline works fast, reliquefying gelled fuel and de-icing frozen filters to get you moving again. Stay prepared with complete winter readiness from Howe's. Prevention and rescue trusted by drivers everywhere, because downtime isn't an option.
You can find more information at HOWES, HowesProducts.com. Longtime Overdrive Radio sponsor. Here's Rivera Lujan, dropping back into his early years in the United States when his parents brought him to California as a child.
So I'm originally from Mexico, and I was brought over when I was a kid. My parents said to, I don't remember that, obviously, right? So I went straight into elementary. And I did struggle a bit because I didn't know English. So, yeah, but I don't remember none of that stuff, right? So then I grew up, we moved to the city of Compton, California. And right there, it was interesting growing up there because it taught me a lot. You know, people see Compton as, well, it's changed a lot. Compton has changed a lot, but the stereotype of Compton, that is a very dangerous place, right? It's gangs and drugs. But I feel like it taught me a lot because it taught you a lot about respect. Where in Compton, you know, people are used to talking to you and expect not to get any backlash. But where over there, you talk to somebody the wrong way, man, you get shot, dude. You get beat up, you know. So it taught you how to touch your respect. And the way that I say that is, over here where I live in Utah, I'm very kind to people, you know. But then I'll treat you the way you treat me. Like I approach you in a nice way, but if you give me crap, like I'm gonna give you crap back, and that's what it taught me, that respect. So it teaches you respect, and I feel like some people are
you stand up for yourself too.
It's just
that, right. Yeah.
I feel like some people are too entitled to feel like they could talk to you in some ways and expect, and you got that mixture. I think that's what is helping in my case. It helped me a lot because you have that mindset that an immigrant is just gonna take it and not respond. Where I've been arguing left and right, man. I've been going at it with people, and once they don't like what I say, they respond quickly by, well, if you don't like it here, you should just leave. I'm like, I'm not saying I don't like America. I'm just don't like what you're saying, you know. But yeah, going back to I grew up in Compton, and then it didn't hit me that I was an immigrant until my senior year in high school. Okay. When I was trying to get my license. And I couldn't get my license because this is just a regular license, not a CDL, a regular license. All my friends were getting cars and my friends were driving, and I couldn't get a license because I wasn't born here. And that's when it hit me. I was like, damn, that's when it really hit me. And then also my parents always raised me with that mentality that I had to be extra careful, be very good, because unlike an American citizen, we have bigger consequences where an American citizen gets arrested, but we could get arrested and deported, you know. So it's like we have bigger consequences. So after high school, college was not an option that I wanted to take because the fees were different for me because I'm not a citizen. I'm considered a foreigner, and I didn't qualify for financial aid or grants, right? So, you know, it is what it is. I understand that part. So I went into at this moment, I was still on illegal immigrant at that point.
You were totally undocumented at that point. Yeah.
Correct. Totally undocumented. And it wasn't until I started working at this warehouse, you know, under the table warehouse. And in that warehouse, I learned a lot, man. I learned a lot. I started in the shipping office. And then I was bored in the shipping office. So I was like, hey, can I learn how to drive the forklift? So then I go and drive the forklift. People had this mindset that, hey, that's not my job description. Hey, I don't get paid for that. But my point of view was like, why not? Something more I'll learn and I can use it in my future, future life, future, something to add to my resume. Sure. So then after 4 years in the company, I was making more money than the people that had their 12 years, the people that had their 15 years. And the reason why, because I learned that I became an asset to the company where you could have 3 employees, or you could have me that does those 3 jobs, right? And get paid a little more. So I learned the shipping part, I learned the sales part, then I learned the warehousing part. So then when I reached my max, that the warehouse manager, he was 30 years in the company. So I already knew that guy he was not going to go anywhere. So I talked to the owner. I'm like, hey, is there anything else I could do? So he moved me up to sales. Then I learned the sales job, which is why I like the communication skills. I moved up to sales. Then 2012 came and DACA came up.
DACA, DACA, or the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, was a new immigration policy put in place during the Obama administration to document those brought to the U.S. as children, like Rivera Lujan. After some court judgments against the policy several years ago now, DACA no longer accepts new applications, but does continue to process renewals for the many, like Rivera Lujan, who were granted their ability to legally stay in the U.S. and work under the program.
It opened up the windows, man, for anything I wanted to do. And I left that company. And I started looking for something else. And they told me to stay, and they told me to go to Seattle. So I went to Seattle for 3 months, and I didn't like the rain, dude. I couldn't do it.
Right.
Yeah. So then my brother started trucking, and he's been trucking for 2 years. He had 2 years into trucking. So all my brothers are citizens, except me. Yeah,
they're born after you. Okay.
Yeah, they're born after me. Yeah. So then my brothers are citizens, and then when I saw that he was doing good, I started getting interest into trucking, and I got my CDL in 2014. Okay. 2014, got my CDL, moved to Utah, and I'm here now. 12 years later, I'm here now, and I moved to Utah, bought my home during the pandemic. Got 2.8 interest, man. Beautiful. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've never been a political guy. Prior to September, all my social media was family, fun, and comedy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That's all it was. So then my brother calls me. My brother calls me one day. He's like, he calls me, and I remember this. He called me on a Saturday, September 27th. Okay. Sean Duffy did his press conference September 26th. My brother's like, hey, man, did you hear all this stuff with non-domiciles? Do you think you're going to be impacted? And I'm like, I don't know. Let me look at it. So then I didn't Google what is the new rule. I Googled what is non-domicile. And then if you go on Google and it tells you non-domicile, says that somebody that doesn't live in the place, like doesn't have an address, that comes temporary. Temporary is the key word here, right? Temporary. Yeah. So I'm like, what? Well, I mean, I live here. Like, I've been here.
Permanent. It's a pretty permanent situation. You feel like you're in anyway, right?
Yeah. So I'm like, I should be good. It doesn't say who can and who can't. So then I'm like, all right, you know what? Why am I gonna waste my time here? Why am I gonna waste my time on social media and reading Google and ChatGPT? Let's just go straight to the source. My license expired on the 29th of November. It was still 2 months ahead. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go and try renew my CDL. So I go on Tuesday, on the 30th. The rule went into effect the 29th. Right. I go on Tuesday, and that's when the DMV. That's what all this started. That Tuesday, I go into the DMV. We live in a small town, so that lady that helps me out in the DMV, she's always helps me out. She's very nice, and I could see her face, and she was very sad. She's like, I can't give you your license. There was a new rule that went into effect yesterday, and for now, all CDLs that are limited terms, and in the state of Utah, they used to call it limited term CDLs, not domiciles. They're like all CDLs are limited CDLs are on pause until they're on hold. They're shut down was the word they said. This is very important. The word shut down, and it's not that you didn't do anything good. You've done it the right way. You have everything, but because we need to get audited, nobody could get a non-limited CDL until we pass that audit. So I'm like, okay, so once you get the audit over, then I should be good. Like, yeah, once the audit's over, come back and see us, and you should be good because you've done it the right way. You have every document needed, and you're good. I'm like, all right, cool. But I knew, man. I knew there was more to that. I knew that she was just talking in general. I'm not saying she was lying. I'm just saying she's talking in general. And I knew that wasn't the case. I go into my car, man, and that's when my whole world like collapsed, because I'm like, dude, like I have my business, I have my equipment, I have my home, I have everything depending on trucking. And it's just not more so because of the trucking, but it's like a slap in the face to me as a person, because I'm like, I've been doing it the right way, man. I've been following the rules. I've been checking in every 2 years, paying my fees, every 2 years getting fingerprinted, staying out of trouble, paying my taxes. And this happens. That's like, what did I do? So I broke down, man. I did a video, and I was so close to taking it down so many times, because I'm not like that. I don't like people seeing me cry. But I was like,
F it, he said to himself.
I posted it. The next day, it blew up, man. I checked my phone. It was blowing up. And this is the interesting part. This happened on a Tuesday. On a Wednesday, that's when the government shutdown happened. So pretty much the FMCSA came, they dropped the bomb, and then they shut down for they just left us all in like for 30 days, right? So we're like, we couldn't reach out to nobody. We couldn't reach out because they was shut down. And I said earlier, shutdown, the word shutdown is very important, because on the video, I posted a clip of the DMV where she says that we're all shut down. A lot of people, have in mind, I was one of the first ones that found this out firsthand.
Right.
A lot of people, man, they went into my comments and they're like, you're overreacting. This is because of the shutdown. And people are like, come to California. Hey, come to Colorado. Come to Wyoming. They're giving it over here. And I feel like people didn't realize the magnitude of this. And they're like, no, dude, this is federal. This is a federal rule. And every state is going to start domino effect little by little. Right now, I'm the first one that found this out. I'm giving you first-hand information here. I didn't hear it nowhere. I'm showing you proof. And people, man, you had a mix of people, man. Go back to your country. You shouldn't be here. And I'm like that. You know, I was down for a week. But then what happened was, I was down for a week. I still had my CDL, have in mind, until the end of November. They didn't take it, but little by little, the same people that started telling me, you're panicking, you're over exaggerating, just come to my state. They're like, bro, they just told me to California, Colorado. It took a while. So a bunch of people, they started DMing me, man. They're like, hey, man, what can we do? What can we do to do this? What can we do to do that? And they started hitting me like, man, there's a lot of people being affected. And then you got the people that are happy, right? The rates are gonna get better. But I'm like, I thought this was about the safety. Why are we talking about money here? And then suddenly I started saying, you know what? I need to find a way to fight this. I started going on. The video blew up and went viral. You know, it was like almost, I think it was 2.5 million. And then I started having news reach out, and I did a couple interviews, and I started reaching out to lawyers. And just because it's federal, I didn't know what type of lawyer I needed. It turns out it was a civil case. I bet lawyers. I probably called like 5 or 6 lawyers. They didn't want to take it. They said there's nothing we could do. So then I got in touch with Public Citizens, and the lawyer that I spoke to, and she's like, I think we can help you.
Were they already aware of it, or did you make them aware of this?
So it was like it was a connection. She's like, it was a connection. So I guess they contacted so and so, and then like, hey, maybe you should reach out to so and so. They saw my interview, so they knew what was going on. So they're like, when I told them, when they called me, they're like, hey, we think we can help you out. And I'm like, at first I was like, I really didn't want to do it because I didn't want to put myself out there. But then when I started reading all these stories, I started reading a bunch of stories that there's people, man, that have nothing to do with the trucking spot market, that are bus drivers, school bus drivers, city bus drivers. You got crane operators, you got mixed truck drivers, you got people that pick up your trash can from the same people that are happy for non-domiciled citizens in their city. I don't even know that a non-domiciled is picking up their trash, probably, that you got taking your kids to school. So I was like, you know what, these people are hurting, and I have the tools. She said, your name is going to be out there. And I was like, you know what, I have no record, I have no criminal record, I have no deportation order. Let's go, let's do it. So yeah, I did it, and that's when everything blew up.
It is quite something to have your own name on a federal court case against an agency of the U.S. government, that is. Jorge Rivera Lujan versus FMCSA has been at least partially successful in that it officially stayed the rule seeking to limit non-domiciled CDL issuance until the case is resolved. Itself on pause pending FMCSA's consideration of public comments filed to the Federal Register with the rule and likely revisions in the aftermath. The official term for that court case pause is abeyance, as Rivera Lujan noted, a temporary pause with conditions. Meantime, Jorge Rivera Lujan's social media world turned into quite the storm. Among the principal reasons he wanted to talk to Overdrive at this point.
I've been reading, man, comments left and right. They don't hurt me no more. At first, dude, I was like, damn, this sucks. But I've noted that people don't know what they don't know. And people are just talking out of, some people are talking out of ignorance. And some people just, no matter what, even after doing this videos and interviews, they already have their mindset. And who am I to change the whole world, right? But I feel like people are confusing this new rule with ELP. The reason I say that is I got a bunch of people. It's like, this rule has been in place for more than 50 years. Why would you sue now? And I'm like, I'm not suing the ELP part. I'm suing this rule that is pretty much labeling all of us as foreigners that just came into this country that speak no English and that are dangerous to the roads, and they're cutting down the whole tree for the bad apples. And that's what I'm fighting against. If they were to tell me, hey, George, what is a good solution for you? Man, if they were to tell me, hey, George, you have 2 weeks to go to the nearest DMV and retake the test, resubmit your legal presence documents, I would do it in a heartbeat, man. I would do it. But the way it stands now, they just took us all out. They took us all out. We've been doing it the right way. And that's what I want people to know, man. We're not against the English part. We're not against the safety part. What we're against is, the fact that they're just assuming right now to a general population that has nothing to do with trucking. You hear non-domiciled, in their head, they're picturing a foreigner that just came in and that's not speaking any English and is driving a truck. There is people that are like that, but that's not all of us. Social media, man, the algorithm, it goes based on negativity. The way I say that is I could have a video right now giving you great information and maybe have 100 views, and I could start a video. I could start a video on the floor crying.
Make something up, yeah.
And people. Breaking news. You have 1 million kids born in one day. Nobody cares. You got 3 people that lost their lives. They're going to tune into that. And that's just the way it works right now. People are under the impression that we are here without speaking English and that we're here illegally. The reason I say that is the way that the news uses the wording and the phrasing has a lot to do with it. When the news says California issued 17,000 non-domiciled CDLs illegally, just by seeing the word illegally, they assume that we're illegal. No, it means that California didn't follow protocol and they were giving the CDLs longer than the work permit because they didn't follow the rules and the guidelines. The CDLs were issued illegally, but the person is still here legally. And that's why you hear, whoa, why are we giving these illegal CDLs? They pick and choose what they want to hear, and that's why.
There's a certain aspect that the sort of press shop of like the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Transportation kind of aids and abets those kinds of points of view with their own use of those words. The willingness to call people that may have work permit papers been here legally for a long time suddenly deemed illegal aliens and broadcast to the press that way straight from them. There seems to be a lot of that going on, and it's hard to pick through it really as a reporter for me, but just because you don't have access to these people, you don't really have access. You can ask questions, but seldom, if ever, is anybody willing to really tell you the nuts and bolts of this person's status, other than to just use it as a piece of press to put out there, just because it sounds bad.
It's a good selling point. Sometimes reporters, the reason I learned is I did it the first time I did an interview. I completely stopped doing interviews with news companies because news are a business, and they're in for the clicks and the views and the ratings and all that. This news this news came to, they came and they asked me, they're like, what is it that you want from this lawsuit? Do you want money, or what is it that you're going against? And this is exact verbatim. This is what I said. I don't want any money. All I want is to be left alone and let me continue working as I have, providing for my family so I could pay my bills. And I'm doing it the right way, and I'm paying my taxes, even though I don't even get benefits. And I'm not complaining about those benefits. You guys could keep them, but let me do my thing, and that's it. That's what I said. They go and they cut that part, and they just said, this is what George had to say. I don't even get benefits. It leaves the conversation to very wide misinterpretation. Yeah. And what was the response? Because they put that video, that interview was like 30-minute interview, dude, and they cut it down to like they did their interview and they showed like 10 seconds on my clip. And what do you have in the response? Oh, look at here, an illegal claiming that complaining because he doesn't get any benefits. And I was like, dude, these guys they did it on purpose, and that's why now I'm very careful with what I say.
I get you, man.
And it's like it's crazy, but to the main point, man, I feel like there's a big difference with how many accidents we cause and how many accidents are televised and blown up in the media.
Rivera Lujan pointed in particular to efforts by groups on social media responding to dramatic and tragic truck wrecks by asking their communities specifically for information about the immigration status of the truck's driver. He referenced a post after a fatal crash in Texas earlier this month.
Instead of the post saying, hey, 'cause 2 people lost their lives there, right? Instead of the post saying, we're so sorry for the lives that were lost, we're sorry for the families, our condolences, their post shows another crash happened. We need help knowing the identity of the person, what kind of license he had, and his immigration status. That was the post. Because they're trying to gather, because the accident was not created by a non-domicile, it was left there. That's it. No more talking about it. Had it been a non-domicile, another crash, this is what we're talking about. We need to make a road safe. These non-domiciles keep crashing because it didn't fit their agenda or their propaganda or their narrative. They just didn't blow it up. That's it. And that's the same thing that happens with media everywhere. There's accidents that are happening every day that are not interesting to the public right now. You got the guy from Georgia that killed 8 people
on I-85 in Commerce, Georgia, in October. The truck's driver, native of Gainesville, Georgia, was arrested and charged with vehicular homicide.
You got the guy that
that was a bad one. That was a bad one. Yeah.
You know which one's interesting? The one that the mayor of Green River, Utah, that he lost his life to a trucking. That guy was an American citizen.
The truck crossed the center line, according to reports, and hit Mayor Renhat head-on.
You don't see that in national news. The other one was the one from the I-10 that just happened right now, where the trucker had his equipment too high up and he hit that bridge. The bridge fell and it smashed the car and then unalived killed a person. Had it been a non-domicile, breaking news, and it's just, and that's what I'm getting at, man. But again, I'm not justifying the people that caused those accidents. But you can't really go and say that we're doing it. All of us are doing it. And I just feel like people assume that we're against America, that we're against the safety. But people are not looking that there's just a bigger issue here. The question isn't how many people don't speak English. The question is, how are they getting their license? If EOP is such a big deal, right now you see the guy from Florida. I saw a news press conference. There's some guy in Florida. I'm not sure what his title is, but he's like, we're proposing the bill that we're requesting all licensed English tests to be taken only in English. If you're going to come on our roads, you need to speak our language. Everybody's applauding. But the real question is like, why until now? Why wasn't that done before? Like if they want only English.
It's always been only English for the skills test, I believe, right? But the written test can be taken in any language, and a lot of places, not everywhere.
Yeah, but wouldn't that filter out a lot of non-English speakers?
It should, yeah. Totally should. Yeah.
And third-party testers, you got third-party testers that man, it's just, there's a lot of loopholes in a lot of places systematically, but they're blaming the driver for everything.
Other safety problems at the federal level then go unaddressed. As we've reported in recent times, the quote-unquote chameleon carrier issue persists among trucking companies attempting to outrun their safety ratings and or crash records in FMCSA's CSA system. For all the focus on the non-domiciled CDL driver, these men and women are employed somewhere, generally speaking, as Rivera Lujan noted often enough, far away from the independent small carrier-dominated spot market. Bus drivers, trash truck drivers, fleet drivers, and other contexts. The Florida legislation Jorge Rivera Lujan referenced there, too, was introduced earlier this month to codify that written tests in the states be only in English. He sees that as a positive that other states would do well to adopt themselves. A very, very few states, New Jersey a notable exception, have resumed issuing and or renewing non-domiciled CDLs in the wake of the FMCSA interim final rule taking immediate effect in late September and requiring review of the CDL program. And that's in spite of the court ruling allowing them to do that. Jorge Rivera Lujan's one-truck business, however, is still operating, and I'd asked just how, if his CDL was set to expire this past year, he was still able to. Turns out, Utah has resumed renewals, at least, as the court challenge and FMCSA's possible revisions to the non-domiciled CDL rule play out.
My license expired on November of last year, but what Utah is doing is they're giving a 1-year extension while all this is in play. But in order to do that, you have to take your legal presence documents and your valid work permit. So they're doing that, and they're doing so, but not defying the FMCSA, because Utah has actually always ran my documents through the SAVE program, and my license has always matched the work permit. So what they're doing is they're giving it's a case by case. You have to go and ask for an administrative hearing, and you go and you present your documents, which in my case is my DACA approval and my work permit, and then you have to present that you're here legal presence, and that's how they're able to give me a 1-year extension. I believe New Jersey is also doing renewals, and this is the interesting part, because I've been part of my social media. I've been involved with a lot, and I hear a lot of firsthand information. So there's states that started doing it, and the moment they start doing it, FMCSA goes and threatens them with some type of North Carolina was giving them out, and then they start saying, you have 30 days to comply, or we're going to take away your funding, and then North Carolina stops giving them because of the threats.
FMCSA and DOT put North Carolina on notice earlier this month, noting the problems with non-domiciled CDL terms for foreign drivers not matching the expiration date for work permits and the like. Similar to other states like California, New York, Pennsylvania, and others, the agency have conducted close audits of and threatened funding.
I'm not sure what the intentions are behind all this, but it's like the rule is on stay, and then there's FMCSA has a letter that went out saying, because part of the agreement was the lawsuit right now is the whole lawsuit is on hold. Advance. This is a key term on there. It's in advance, which it means it's So the whole
because FMCSA is going to revise the rule based on the comments that they got.
Basically. So then they're supposed to continue giving them, but they're not doing it. I believe some states. Some states, from what I hear, I believe some states are waiting for the final rule. Because my personal opinion is that they don't want to go and do all this and give them out, and then whatever happens with the lawsuit, then they have to take them back again. So that's what I think it's happening. A lot of them aren't saying no; they're just saying we're waiting on. I believe Nevada completely took out their non-domiciled.
They just said they weren't going to do it.
Their program.
The state of Nevada, as he referenced, did indeed announce an end to issuance of limited term or non-domiciled CDLs in the state, as Overdrive previously reported. Owner-operator Rivera Lujan wanted Overdrive Radio listeners to know that he was simply speaking for himself as part of this edition of Overdrive Radio, not as a representative of the class of CDL holders in the lawsuit his name is on, and fundamentally wanted to underscore the confusing interpretations ongoing in the public mind with respect to English language proficiency in the non-domiciled CDL. He feels the federal moves against, and the big negative of public opinion around, Non-domiciled drivers are both, in essence, a case of misplaced blame for lack of ELP enforcement that happened for many years, and that it just shouldn't be the case.
There are issues there on the ELP part, and they shouldn't blame us for them not enforcing it. A lot of people are saying, well, Biden let a bunch of people into the country, which I'm not fighting that part, that statement. What I'm fighting is like they're making it seem like if all these people came and became truckers, but the numbers don't add up. How are they claiming to say hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people came into the country? But all those people that came into this country, they would have filed for asylum, right? That's what they would have followed them. And yet, based on their own numbers, only 58,000 CDL holders are within non-domiciles that are being affected. So that statement really doesn't. That's more of an immigration situation. That statement is more of immigration. Hundreds of thousands of people did not come and become truckers. And even if they did, how did they get their CDL? That's like they're blaming us over their loopholes and their systematic problems. And
it's not as simple as something that happened under the Biden administration. A lot of non-domiciled CDL holders are like yourself, and they've had CDLs going way back. Right?
Yeah, and then one other thing that I want to touch on is you have the people that are all over social media, how they're happy that the rates are gonna suddenly magically get better because we're gonna be out of the picture. Yet we only count for 5% of all CDLs, right? And that's assuming that all of us are owner operators, because at the end of the day, man, you got a bunch of people that have nothing to do with the spot market, and they don't see that. They don't see that there's thousands and thousands of people that are, I know I said this already, but they're bus drivers, they're construction workers, nothing to do with the spot market. So let's just say out of those 5%, let's say 2% are not related to the spot market. You got the other 3%. Out of those 3%, let's say 1% is owner operators. The other ones they're just company drivers. And at the end of the day, man, you have all these videos and people doing scams. A scammer's going to find a way to do scam no matter what. If that's a person's mentality, even if they get us out, there's still going to be scams. There's still going to be issues. The issue is, how do you create a system to enforce that, to prevent that? Don't just take us all out, man. And that's just my main focus. I know that sometimes I go in circles with this stuff. Our main thing is don't blame us over the whole New York, right? New York's supposedly 53%. The CDLs were issued illegally. How is it the applicant's fault when they go and they bring their paperwork, and then the DMV decides to give them a CDL longer than a work permit? Is it the applicant's fault, or is it the DMV? Yeah. You go like me, right? I go and apply for my CDL. If they give me my CDL for 1 year, I'm be like, all right, I'll see you next year. If they give it to me for 5 years, I'm like, all right. What I truly believe happened with that whole license thing is a lot of stuff were lightened up, and procedures were skipped during the pandemic, because a lot of people were getting their CDLs. A lot of people were getting their CDLs that matched, but during the pandemic, for whatever reason, they didn't want people. Either it was a safety where they didn't want people in the DMVs, or it was a staff issue, or whatever. They made it longer, because a lot of people that I talked to told me, "Hey man, the first time I went to get a CDL, it did match. The second time it did match, but during COVID, they extended it for 5 years."
Right.
And now suddenly we're the bad guys. Suddenly we're the danger. Suddenly, during COVID, we were essential workers. We were, I was going to the restaurant in my truck, dude, because I couldn't go into businesses because they didn't allow us there. Nobody cared then. But now,
you guys and every other trucker out there, it was that moment in the sun, man. Everybody loved us.
And a lot of people are blaming that the Biden administration let a bunch of people in, but nobody's talking about how there's a bunch of people that came after COVID to trucking because it was a gold mine, dude. It was a gold rush. All these people came, whether you're non-domiciled, whether you're a foreigner, U.S. citizens. There was a bunch of people that came into the industry, and they went and they bought these overpriced trucks, overpriced trailers, because have in mind there was a high rates, and then also the trucks went sky high, man, because there was a supply issue. And so what happens? You got all these rookies that have that mentality that they're gonna make over $5 a mile all the time, because at that time they didn't care about these high-priced trucks, and they didn't care about these high-priced trailers, because they're like, yeah, I'm making money. So what happens now? The market went down to, I don't want to say it went down to normal, but it went down to pre-COVID rates. Now you got these people complaining. You got these people saying, yeah, we need to get these non-domiciles out because they're ruining the market, and they've only been in business for 2 years. Like, what do you know how about trucking works, you know? And at the end of the day, man, they don't look at that. The market got flooded by everybody after COVID. It comes down to like your business mentality. I've been in business for 12 years, no? I knew that wasn't gonna be forever. So I mean, I did as much as I can, and you saved. You gotta save, because there's peak seasons, right? There's times where the carriers are gonna make money, and there's times where the brokers are gonna make money. Right now, carriers are making more money. Then later on, the brokers are gonna make more money. It's just how it works. There's but you got people that came in the industry with these overpriced trucks, overpriced trailers, and now we're looking for a way to reduce the population because it's overpopulated, and non-domicile seems to be the easiest way to do it. And they're throwing us out there, and sadly, that's the thing, because why are we even talking about rates? This was supposed to be about safety.
What do you think if FMCSA is going to limit the eligibility of visitors? Let's just use a neutral term: visitors to the country who may have work authorization. Are there appropriate limits there? Something narrower than what they are doing now, which includes DACA recipients, which includes pretty much everybody that's not like a legal permanent resident, I suppose. Is there? I mean, what do you think? Is there, like, they're going to issue this final rule ultimately, and they're going to make revisions? I mean, what should they do in your view?
My opinion
if they're going to do anything.
Yeah, my opinion is, based on all the claims that they're saying, that just solely on the English part and solely on the legal presence part. My opinion is, like, if they were to just make us all come in and retest and re-show our paperwork, because the main issue is that there's a fail in the ELP, right? And the other issue is that the work permits are not matching their visas.
Right.
Let us go in and submit our proof of legal presence, and let us submit with our proof that we can speak English, and get the bad apples out. And again, I've never said there's not bad stuff going on in trucking. What I've said is, the claims are not true that all of us are in that position. What I'm saying is, hey man, tell me where I gotta go and retest. Tell me where I gotta go and show you my legal presence documents. And even if they tell me you gotta repay, we'll pay it, man, because I understand it's an expense, and we gotta, we'll do it. But it's just the way that, on a personal level, man, based on the people that I've talked to, I have yet to talk to somebody that has an issue with DACA. Most of the people that have issue, me personally, I'm not saying I agree with the statements. I'm just telling you what I hear. Most of the people just seem to focus on that whole Biden era, the whole Biden terms, Biden administration,
asylum seekers, a lot of people coming.
Yeah. So most of, and again, I'm not here supporting that or fighting that. I'm just telling you what the main issue is that people are having. Most of the people that I talk to about DACA, they're like, yeah, man, you should. They even go as far as saying you should even get your citizenship. And real quick,
sure,
because I know it's going to come out. People always ask, well, if you've been here so long, why haven't you become a citizen?
Yeah, that's a good question. Right? I mean, I know it's not a simple answer, I'm sure.
And people just assume. People assume, like, just by common sense, man. If every 2 years I'm paying my fees and go to the Homeland Security office and get fingerprinted, and if there was a way to do it once, man, and not do it again, you guys think I wouldn't have done it, man? It's not as simple. People just say do it the right way, but they don't know what the right way is, and they're just I call them keyboard warriors. It's always the ones with no picture in their profile, man. They go, well, just do it the right way. My family. And this is the one that I get to. They're like, I have friends that did it the right way. People have to realize that every country qualifies for different things. In Cuba, like if you're Cuban, there's a certain rules or certain guidelines that if you're Cuban, you could become a citizen or resident. If you're, right now, Ukrainian, if you're El Salvador, you can. Like Mexicans, we don't qualify for asylum. And I don't need asylum. I'm not running from nothing. But in my case, let me tell you about my case. DACA only qualifies for residency under 3 things. One of them is through a marriage through a U.S. citizen. In my case, I got married to my high school sweetheart. She also has DACA. Let me ask you this before people say that. I met her when I was 15, dude. You think at 15 years old, you're gonna ask your future? Well, at the time, I didn't know she was gonna be my wife, right? But when you're 15, do you ask your girlfriends, "Hey, what's your legal status?" Like, no, dude. Right. I married my high school sweetheart. We have 3 kids. The other one is through an employer sponsorship. Employer sponsorship. I've always been self-employed, other than that warehouse job. But as employer sponsorship, I didn't go that route. It's such it's a process. They have to prove that you can't find somebody with your skills here in the States, and they have to prove that they have to hire you. And it's a big and to find somebody to do it, they don't bother doing all that work. They could just hire somebody and not deal with it, unless you're like an engineer or a doctor or something like that, and which that was out of the way, right?
That's to put you on the path to citizenship. Is that what you're saying?
It will eventually. There's steps to it, but it will eventually get to that. So I'll explain it shortly. And the final one, which is the one that I'm going for, is when your daughter becomes you have a kid, children that become 21. She could, in my case, is my daughter. My daughter, she's turning 18 this year. So when she becomes 21, she will petition me, and then I will become not a citizen. I'll become a U.S. permanent resident. Yep. Right. So then, after 5 years of staying out of trouble and doing it good, and after 5 years of being a U.S. resident, then you could petition to become a citizen.
A naturalized citizen. Okay.
Yeah, but there is no automatic. There is no pathway.
It's not like you get DACA and then all of a sudden like you can be a.
Yeah, there's no. The people have this mindset that there's a line to go and get in line. There is no line. One other way that I missed out is my brothers. I mentioned earlier they're citizens, so my brother could have petitioned me. But then that thing takes like 20 years, 15 years, 10 years. It takes so long. So when my brother turned 21, we did the math, and it was just easier to wait for my daughter to become 21 because that was it was more easier. In order to do that, this is a twister. People tell me go back to my country. I've been to Mexico. I went to Mexico in August, and I came back in. They let you in. They stamped my passport. Yeah. Welcome back. So that's why people just assume that we're hiding and that we're I can't wait for ICE to get you. Like they know where I'm at, dude. Like they have my fingerprint. And they say go back to your country. Like, yeah, I did go back to my country and I came back in. And it's just man, the amount of comments that they don't bother me no more. At first they get me, but somebody told me, well, you're sitting at home for an American citizen. Like, nobody gave me this house, but I bought it. Like, I've worked hard for it. And it's just the whole immigration thing. I feel like the people that say those stuff, they just don't know the immigration system. And that's just a bigger topic. We could be here all day talking about immigration, but people don't know how it works.
It's certainly not an easy process becoming a citizen of the U.S., that's sure, even for DACA recipients like Jorge Rivera Lujan. Here's a big thanks to the owner-operator for joining us here. What do you think about his idea of a kind of relicensing of non-domiciled operators? Come back into the state DMV, match the work authorization's end to the term of the license issued if it's off, maybe even retake written and skills tests both fully in English. Would that be a good alternative to the current blanket restriction of non-domiciled licenses represented by the FMCSA's interim final rule issued in late September? Again, the rule is currently halted in federal court, pending changes. Send in further thoughts to us here at Overdrive and find more reporting on the non-domiciled CDL rule, and boy, there's been a lot of it this past year, that's certain. Via links in the show notes for this podcast for February 2, 2026 at overdriveonline.com/overdrive-radio or wherever you're listening. Overdrive Radio is on Spotify and SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, Overdrive's Facebook page, and any listening platform, really. Leave us a review there if you're enjoying these. Big thanks in advance for it. As always, big thanks for listening. Overdrive Radio is a production of Overdrive, the voice of the American trucker. It's edited and produced by me, Todd Dills, with the acoustic guitar and other support of trucker-songwriter Long Haul Paul Marhofer. The theme is Legend of the Snake Man by Marhofer, featuring the guitar work of Travis, the Snake Man himself, Whammick, Terry Two Socks Richardson on bass, keys by Tishomingo Jim Whitehead, on drums, Andrew Marshall. The podcast is backed up further by Overdrive's own social media coordinator, Jasmine Campbell, senior editor, Matt Cole, executive editor, Alex Lockey, and video editors, Lawson Rudisell, Andrew Glenn. See you next time.